The frontside heel is a lot easier than it looks on a fingerboard. To clear up any confusion, a frontside heel is when the board and your fingers do a 180 rotation towards you while the board also does a barrel roll away from you. In other words, a frontside heel is a combination of a front 180 and a heel flip. With that being said, two tricks that help with learning this trick are frontside 180s and heel flips, so if you haven't already, check out my front 180 and heel flip tutorials so you can master those first. But even if you can't do either of those tricks, I'm going to teach you everything you need to know in this video to learn how to frontside heel. Step number 1, where to put your fingers. You want to place your index finger in the middle of the board and your middle finger on the tail of the board. Some people find it easier to have their middle finger on the middle of the tail, but for me personally, I find it's easier to have your middle finger on the edge of the tail that's closest to you. Some people also like having their index finger on the edge of the board that's furthest away from them, but I prefer to have my index finger in the middle of the board so that there's more of the board for my index finger to catch on and I can get a proper heel flip rotation. Step number 2, popping the board. The key to this trick is to do a scissor kick with your fingers so that you push your middle finger away from you and pull your index finger towards you. Because the board is already spinning towards you with a frontside heel, you don't need to flick your index finger off the edge of the board, and the motion of the board spinning towards you will make the board flip as long as your index finger is on the grip tape. In other words, the 180 part of the frontside heel basically does the flicking motion for you. The finger positioning is also super important for this trick because having our middle finger on the edge of the board that's closest to us is going to make the board want to flip like a kick flip when we pop. And this makes it easier for our index finger to make contact with the board and make it flip like a heel flip. You really want to focus on your index finger making contact with the grip tape and aim for the edge of the nose that's furthest away from you. It's also important to not think so much about scooping the tail against the ground to get it to spin and to instead focus on popping the tail against the ground to get it into the air. I like to think of it as if I'm doing a simple front 180 rather than scraping my tail against the ground to get it to start spinning. Another thing that can help with flipping the board is if you're finding the board isn't flipping enough, try putting your index finger on the edge of the board that's closest to you. This is going to make the board flip way faster. On the other hand, if your board is flipping too much, try putting your index finger on the edge of the board that's furthest away from you. This is going to make the board flip slower and give you more control. One thing that really helped me when I was first learning this trick was before I popped the tail, I curved the board towards the direction I'm about to 180 in. That way I get some momentum going and use that to get the full 180 rotation with my hand and wrist. This also helps because by turning in the direction we're about to spin, we don't actually have to do the full 180 and we can pop at a 45-degree angle. A good way to ease your way into doing a proper frontside heel is putting your board out in front of you so that your tail is pointing towards you and you're riding away from your body. That way you don't have to turn your wrist as much. Once you get more comfortable doing frontside heels from this position, you can gradually start to turn your wrist more and more back to your regular ollie position. One thing to keep in mind is you don't have to completely turn your hand so your palm is facing away from you. What a lot of people do to make the rotation easier and make the landing look more stylish is bend their index finger and keep their middle finger straight. That way your index finger and your middle finger are still landing in the same position on the board, but you can keep your hand and wrist turned at a 90-degree angle rather than twisting them the full 180 degrees. The key to this trick is to lead the rotation with your index finger to make sure the board follows your fingers in the air. As long as your front chucks are turning and doing the full rotation, the rest of the board will follow. For some people, it can help to look at this trick from a different perspective. For example, you can think of it as a front 180 with a heel flip. For me personally, it really helped to think of this trick as a varial heel with a body varial because I'm a lot better at varial heels than I am at heel flips. I also have a tutorial on how to do varial heels, so I highly recommend you check that out as well. But if you're still struggling with getting the rotation, try doing a frontside heel by breaking down the individual parts of the trick in different ways. Another example of this would be to do a heel flip and then land on your nose so you can pivot the rest of the 180. Or you could do a heel flip and land at a 90-degree angle so that you can power slide the rest of the 180. This will help you get used to the rotation, and you can eventually work your way up to rotating your board and hand in the air without having to slide your wheels on the ground. Step number 3, consistency. Frontside heels are one of those tricks that like to go all over the place. It took me a long time to be able to land them every try, so here's a few helpful tricks that I learned to pop them higher and land them more consistently. If you're finding that your frontside heels are over rotating and spinning more like a big spin heel, try turning your fingers towards you. This is going to slow down the spin a lot and give you a lot more control over the board. When you have your fingers straight on the board or turned away from you, the board naturally wants to spin more and it tends to not stay directly under your fingers. If your frontside heels keep over flipping like a frontside double heel, try to not overcomplicate things and focus on doing a simple front 180 but have your fingers in the frontside heel position. That way you're not going to accidentally flick the board too hard with your index finger and you can focus on getting a solid pop of the board. Focusing on doing just a front 180 can also help if you're still over rotating the board. That way you're not forcing it to spin, and the way your fingers are positioned will naturally make the board spin towards you. One trick that helped me to get my frontside heels higher was to really focus on doing a solid heel flip rather than trying to do a front 180. Whenever I focus focus too much on the front 180 part of this trick, I can never get them very high. As long as you have your fingers turned towards you when you do a heel flip, the board is naturally going to want to do a 180. Frontside heels are a lot easier than they look on a fingerboard, and while they may be easy to learn, they are very difficult to master. And if you want to learn some other easy tricks, check out my other tutorials like my 1-hour video where I explain every basic fingerboarding trick in detail. And let me know if there's any other tricks you guys would like me to teach you in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, and make sure to subscribe for more tutorials like this.